knew I was gonna have sex. I was gonna have sex for the first time. I was living in London, and things weren't really going well for me. I was in a master's program, and all of my teachers were old white men who continuously told me that gender equality was not a thing in international development, but that happened to be the topic of my thesis. So I was not succeeding, which was terrible for me because my education had been a point of pride for me up until this point in my life. So I decided if I couldn't succeed in my education, I was definitely going to succeed in my sex life. Enter into the picture, English boyfriend Andy. Andy and I had been dating for about 3 months when I decided to tell him about this decision. Oh, lass, no. I don't want you to fall in love with me. See, Andy was really concerned about the emotional burden that he would have to carry if we had sex and he was my first, but I can assure you, I was not going to fall in love with Andy. Because he was, as he described himself, a knobhead, which is an English slang term for idiot or dickhead. And Andy was kind of an idiot. He was nice, but Andy grew up in this particular part of England called Wensleydale, and Wensleydale was very known for its cheese. And so Andy and I mostly talked about cheddar cheese. But I decided he was going to be the one that I had sex with, so I continued forward with this goal. On the day in question, we had a date set to go to the British Museum, and we were going to see an exhibit called Witches and Wicked Bodies. And I was really excited because the exhibit was all about women's persecution throughout history, and I was ready for some women suffrage in my life. Andy could have cared less. We got to the exhibit, and he just kind of did a once around and stood in the corner in his gray puffer jacket, baggy sweatpants, and tall rain boots. And I spent 2.5 hours reading every single plaque on the museum wall, looking at all of the sculptures and scriptures and paintings, and it felt good. When I was done with my tour, I went up to Andy and said, "Okay, I'm done. What do you want to do now?" And Andy kind of hummed and hawed and yawned and said, "Ugh, I'm tired, lass. Let's go to yours and have a nap." And I thought this was a really good idea because horizontally laying in bed definitely would lead to sex. So we got on the tube, and it's a crowded tube car, but there's one empty seat. So Andy kind of shuffles me in that direction, and I sit down, and instantly I know it's a mistake. Cold, wet liquid seeps into my pants, and I'm soaked from knees to the base of my spine, and it's disgusting. But I can't tell Andy this, because I don't want anything to get in the way of the sex. So we get off the tube, and we walk back to my apartment. And at the time, I lived with 7 other postgrad students, and so when I unlocked the door, I called out, "Hello, is anyone home?" And no one responded. So I knew this had to be the moment. We go into my room, and Andy makes himself comfortable. He takes off his shoes and throws his puffer coat on my desk and gets into bed. But I can't join him because I have these wet pants on, and I really don't want that in my bed. And so I do the only thing that I think is an option at that moment in time, and I just take everything off. And everything, I get buck naked. And as I'm throwing my clothes into the hamper, I get this dank, musty whiff of urine. And I know in that moment in time that I definitely sat in pee on the tube, which is disgusting. So I don't tell Andy. I put the clothes in the hamper, and I turn around, and Andy has these huge, bewildered eyes look on his face and says, "Oh, lass, why'd you take off your clothes?" To which I respond, "This is just how I take naps." So I crawl into bed next to Andy, and he kind of stiffly puts his arm around me and is very tight, and he doesn't do anything for a minute. But I know what to do, and we have sex. And you know, it was good. Despite the fact that Andy's an idiot, I had an orgasm, which is really important. So my education in London didn't pan out very well. I passed, but that's about it. But what London did give me was this sense of confidence to go forward and have empowered and fulfilling sex.